answerable to Sultan of Sokoto and to Fulanis, answerable to the Fulanis, are the 5 eastern state governors. Number 1,
by sending them.
you see, let me tell you, Sultan of Sokoto is proven to be fathers, the father of all evil men in Nigeria. Sultan of Sokoto can never be the father of all men in a kingdom where I come from. We have nothing to do with Islam. We have nothing to do with Fulani. Sultan of Sokoto should actually know the particular people in Igbo land. He is giving that kind of selfish order. I'm telling you, Fulani dominance can never touch my area in Anambra State. We are answerable to only God. I'm saying this with all audacity. If Fulani, Sultan of Sokoto, Muslim Caliphate or Islamic Caliphate in the north is giving order not where I come from. The Sultana, if you want to mix up with Igbo, could scrape anything Fulani conquest. I don't know what to understand. And come out with a different ideology that should benefit everybody. Is going to the angle of religion, he has failed. Because if he exposes Igbo land to jihad, allow us with the jihadists, they will all their grave will scatter all over Igbo land. Igbo warriors are not afraid of anybody. So what is deserved, the remembrance, we the Igbos are giving it to him. The only people that are answerable to Sultan of Sokoto and to Fulanis, answerable to the Fulanis, are the 5 eastern state governors. Number 1, Hope Uzodinma. Number 2, Peter Mba. 3, Nwaflefu. 4 is Obiano. Alesoti can never. I mean 5 states. 4 states, with the exemption of Alesoti of Abia State. He can never be answerable to Sultan of Sokoto. Sultan of Sokoto, if you want to get something right now, you should come and lead himself to Christ with his 2 steps. You are watching a God that has never done miracle in the history of the earth. As our God actually resurrected the dead, spoke to the dead, and the dead woke up. Tell me where it has happened. Saudi Arabia is the headquarters of Islam in the world. Tell me where it has happened. In Medina or Mecca. Where? That you want Igbo man to be answerable to you. Okay, we have our own king in my domain. The only king we have in my domain in Anambra that every community answers to him is Eze Idigo of Aguleri. I am from Igwedo Kebo, Neri Kingdom. Our king answers to Eze Idigo. Eze Idigo doesn't answer to anybody. Even to Ofala Kabu of nature. No, he's answerable to Eze Idigo, Igbo of Aguleri. That is how our culture and tradition run. We don't answer to any other person outside our kingdom. And our religion is Christianity or Judaism. We can never, ever allow the encroachment of Judaism begin to at least goof or step into the domain of Islam. We don't violate anybody's religious rights. It is my right to be in my domain. You are right to be in your domain. Sultan of Sokoto should mind his business. His religious business could not be extended into a kingdom, into Igbo land where I come from. For war, for arm.
But people are still blaming Peter Mba. They say is the one that would have financed or advised the Igbos and traditional rulers to go to Sokoto to greet and foster peace. And sometimes they can come and say that the only thing that can bring Nigeria together is peace. That different traditions must come together and live in peace. But do you agree with that? The Fulanis come to the southeast, to live with the Biafrans. Do you agree?
It is not possible. Fulani can never come and live in peace in any community in Igbo land. They have come to dominate the land, grab the land, annihilate or at least spy the land owners, the owners of the land. And that was the kind of trick and deception they used on their Hausa counterparts from 16th, 17th, 18th centuries. And actually they succeeded. Over 400 years ago, they were living with the Hausas. Where are the Hausas today? Politically, nowhere to be found. Industrially, nowhere to be found. Religiously, the Hausas are gone. You cannot even know the original religion of the Hausas today. Because Fulani came with their particular kind of, let me say, religious agenda. Force the Hausas, force it on the Hausas, and today the Hausas religiously are nowhere to be found. If the Hausas are pagans today, I don't know, because I know that Fulani came with their own religion and made sure that they silenced the original religion of the Hausas over the years. And today, politically, the Hausas are gone forever. Could you imagine that since inception of the Nigerian country, it is people from the north that has been ruling since independence, and none of them is from Hausa extraction. They are all Fulanis. What kind of deception is that? And you think that Igbo man is that gullible to succumb to you the way the Hausas succumbed? The kind juju where you need the Hausas, if you carry that kind juju, can't do them to Igbo man, you know go work. Because we actually know who we are. I don't know that remove the label. So it can work. My brother, it can work, the label. It can work, the label. It can work. The Hausas are different people entirely. Yes, Igbos are different people entirely. We have both different, our differences. I don't understand. The kind of intelligence the brain Igbo man is having is not the same with the Hausas. The Hausas are over docile and complacent. I don't understand. That they even allow their lives. They play politics with a foreigner with their lives. All the political positions in the north occupied by the Fulanis, while you are the owner of the land. Don't you know that you have something wrong with you? The Hausa man have something wrong with him. That is what is going on today. And it cannot be at least stretched, extended to the Igbos and other tribes in Nigeria. No to Fulani Janjaweeds and all their deceptions. We can never allow that.
Okay, and lastly, you see Remi Tinubu come out to say that she was in support of the Nigeria senator against Natasha. You know, she has come out to say that Natasha put herself in that position where, you know, the senators are accusing her of
Oga Remi Tinubu could support bad thing. There's never a time in Nigeria Remi Tinubu can support good thing. There was a time Remi Tinubu was fighting Dino Melai. They fought dirty. But it wasn't on sexual harassment. I don't really understand. Sexual harassment is a different issue in our society today. Could be that Natasha Akpabio both are senators in the United States. Both of them could have stepped down now and they allow the congressmen to investigate them properly. And after investigation, we have cameras all over the United States. There must be a substantiated evidence that we use to what? Punish Akpabio. Akpabio should be, you know, down right now on his knee begging. But there is no equipment, no forensic investigation, you know, institution or establishment in Nigeria. We just investigate out of human ability and knowledge, which can never be complete. But America, they have technologies, science, yes, equipment down to investigate you. Failure to do that, intelligence, artificial intelligence will capture you where you committed the dastard act. Artificial intelligence is there to actually tell you you are wrong, man. So what is happening is that our society here in Nigeria is not advanced. We don't run an advanced society in Nigeria here. So that's why we can never get it right. Actually, we can't get it right.
But the most important thing is that nothing lasts forever. So Nnamdi Kanu is not going to be there forever. And it's the most important thing we have to understand now is that come rain, come sun, Kanu will be released this year. Okay, do not see this year, but let's see the response of, you know, the transfer of his case to the southeast. I believe it's going to be a game changer. One thing that a lot of people do not understand is that if Nnamdi Kanu needed to be free by all means, he could have been free since. Nnamdi Kanu can even free himself without anybody talking, and that is if he decides to abandon the struggle that led him into the detention. That is the struggle for the actualization of independent state of Biafra. And recently now, that was yesterday, being the 6th day of March 2025, Nnamdi Kanu files 2 suits against violation of his right, demands transfer of case to Southeast, speedy trial, 100 billion damages. We are going to explain all these things one after the other. But before that, it is important to understand that before the last court case they went, where they adjourned the case indefinitely, Aloy Jimako told us that Nnamdi Kanu was preparing to file a suit that we enabled them to transfer the case to the Southeast. Time with that number, a lot of people spoke about this issue of Nnamdi Kanu, and we all understand that this man don't have that serious case before the Nigerian court, just because of some circumstances surrounding him. He is so influential. Nnamdi Kanu, his influence is too much, so it scares politicians. And every politician, especially from the Southeast, if there are few people who are not against him, there are not more than 10 people, 10 politicians who are not against him. So a lot of people actually don't really want him to be free because of so many issues. But there is a very great advantage if Nnamdi Kanu will be set free. If Nnamdi Kanu is free, all these serious killings, raping, kidnapping in the farms, all those things, it will stop automatic. It will stop. The governors from the Southeast and other people, they don't have what it takes to solve this. That is what we must know. Now, it reads that breaking, Nnamdi Kanu files 2 suits against violation of his rights, demands transfer of case to Southeast, speedy trial, 100 billion damages. Now, the details reads that the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, has filed 2 separate lawsuits challenging alleged violation of his constitutional right, including the right to a fair hearing, fair trial, and speedy trial. Kanu, who filed the suit through his legal team by his special counsel, Barrister Ejemako, urged the court and the Nigerian government to adhere to the constitutional provision and relevant status in handling his case out of the article. Now, when it comes to the issue of speedy trial, we all know that Nigerian government, they are reluctant. Do you people realize that Nnamdi Kanu's case started after he was arrested and released 2014, 2015? No, that was 2015, yeah. 2015/2016. So everything started almost 10 years ago. They started trying this man almost 10 years ago, and up till now, they have not found anything criminating against him. They have not found him guilty. They are still playing one game or the other, prolonging the whole detention. Now, the article continues that in the first suit, filed under suit number CV 87525, Kanu seeks an unconditional release from detention and the ongoing trial in charge number FHC ABGCRO 383/2015. His lawyer argued that the IPOB leaders trial violates section 36(1) and 4 of the Nigerian Constitution, which guarantee the right to a fair hearing and speedy trial. In the suit, Kanu demand a formal apology from the Nigerian government for the alleged violation of his fundamental rights to be published in 3 widely circulated national, whilst this injustice persists. So this is the end of the article. Now, the report coming is that Nnamdi Kanu, again, after they adjourned his case indefinitely, he was also, told to agree to drop the struggle of, agitating for Biafra. That when he do that, then they will release him unconditionally, so he can go and play politics, to just live like normal people who doesn't know their right, who doesn't know their left from their right. So when you do that, yes, everything will just go well. We will, work with you. But you continuing with your Biafra agitation, meaning we are not going to release you. You follow the due process of the court. That is what they normally say. Follow the due process of the court, which they know that the process is not a due process. It's an altered process, complicated process. In that process, they knew what they are doing. They knew what they are, all their plans, they know. They have the knife, they have the yam, they know where to cut it. You see, when you are fighting an animal in his territory, it's always difficult because they have the power, they have everything, they know what to do, they know where to hit you, okay? They know where to hit you.
You know how they brazenly talk about election in this country? There was a time the Oba of Lagos said the people don't vote for, Igbos who don't vote for them will be driven into the lagoon. So what else do you want them to say? You see them on Twitter, they have handles that are dedicated to, attacking other ethnicities.
So you think they're unapologetic about this?
They're not. And those handles have been linked to the Lagos State government people.
But you're a Yoruba man. Why are you saying this about your people?
I don't know why people just say that because you're being a Yoruba person doesn't take my humanity away. But you must understand that this is not just about landmark. There's an Igbo problem in Nigeria. That's why they are holding Nnamdi Kanu.
What's your take on
for asking
Nnamdi Kanu's
for
perpetual
Biafra?
detention?
And then we are rehabilitating Boko Haram commanders. He said 120,000 of them have surrendered with foreign currency in their hand. And you have rehabilitated them. But one guy who says, we want justice, we don't want to stay in Nigeria, you are holding him perpetually, using the judiciary or judicial, subterfuge to keep the trial. And everybody who knows what they are doing understand that it's not a judicial matter.
So Nnamdi is essentially a political prisoner.
He's a political hostage. Well, I'll call him not a political because he may not. Whomever is in power, except me, will keep him in jail.
So do you think that Igbos generally are endangered species in Nigeria? Going back what you just narrated.
The truth, that's the truth. Nigeria did not forgive Igbos since the end of the Civil War.
What did they do?
Because they challenged the real estate of the British called Nigeria. So, and they didn't forgive them since then. So everything has been done after that. We know this is the unspoken truth about the country called Nigeria, that they did not forgive Igbos for the Civil War.
The Igbos were the victims and they have forgiven the victims. So why is it difficult for the victors to...
You are preaching to the choir.
And because he had mentioned once that, in an interview he had mentioned that the Igbos will never be president of Nigeria. That is a perpetual, narration to keep the Igbos where they are.
Yes, so no, it's not about even the presidency. If they find an Igbo man that is malleable, that can work in their interest, they can make him president if he doesn't have any power. You can be a president of, you can be a president of Nigeria and not have the powers of the president. When they wanted to destroy the landmark, who was the minister in charge? It's not an Igbo man.
And Moka is Igbo speaking, also fighting.
It's easier for them to use an Igbo man to carry out. If it was done by a Yoruba man, the uproar would have been worse. But you find an Igbo minister of works to help you demolish Igbo businessmen. You say, can't you see them? So it's easier that way. It's manipulation. It's how Nigeria manipulates people. But I'm not saying that if he was a Yoruba minister, he cannot demolish. They will do it too. It's easy. Anybody could have done it as long as there's an agreement to do it. Because beyond just ethnicity, there's also an elite conspiracy against Nigerian people. So an average poor person is endangered. But you are likely more endangered if you have committed a generational crime against the Nigerian real estate. Owned
by being an Igbo man.
Of course. That's the truth. That's why you were saying, oh, you are Yoruba man. If, based on what I say, they even tell me I'm not Yoruba enough. But I'm of mixed heritage. There's a part of me that is Ijo.
Okay.
And we are the Ijo-speaking Yorubas. We are the Yoruba-speaking Ijos in Ondo State.
Okay.
So they call us Ijo Apoy.
Ilaje area?
No, it's Ilaje. So we're next to Ilaje.
Okay.
But my great-grandparents came from Yoruba side of things. But the stream that Shore is named after is in Ijebu waterside. Because that's how they came. So, but, I don't speak to people based on ethnicity. I don't define myself based on my ethnic heritage, even though I do not deny it. But because it underlies our humanity to be assigned an ethnic position before you can be respected. Are you getting my point? Or before your views can carry on, so you have to be a Yoruba man. And then it was,
so we've had
here
Rwanda.
Comes one of them.
We've had Rwanda manage the same ethnic issue in their country with the Tutsi thing after years of genocide. Are you sure
they managed it?
Well, to a reasonable extent.
They have to manage it through genocide. And Nigeria
after genocide management.
So this is what you should understand.
Okay.
Nigeria also managed the Igbo problem through genocide. 4 million Igbos.
I was coming to that.
Is that not genocide? But you know the problem I have sometimes even with some of our people is that the same people who shot and killed them are more popular in their midst than those who support their rights. The Obasanjos of this world are embraced as authentic people, but these are the people who went and used third commando to massacre Igbos. What did they name this airport after? Murtala Mohammed, one of the most notorious killers of Igbos. Buhari, they kill Igbos. Danjuma, they kill Igbos. Gowon, they kill Igbos. But they even love them more than they love those of us who are fighting. People challenge me that, they hate me because I support Nnamdi Kanu. And I said, so be it. Because I know that I'm supporting justice. And I cannot support injustice because I want political favors from a country. If you want to keep carrying out genocide of political nature or continuation of it, you can go ahead. Keep voting for the criminals who are perpetrating it. Let the forest be voting for the acts because the handle is from one of them.
Okay. Yeah, I said something. I would like you to touch more on it. I mean, the Igbos were the victims. Now they are forgiving the victors. There is no place you don't find the footprints of Igbos across the length and breadth.
That's why I say you are preaching to the choir. It's not, Igbos are not only in Nigeria, they're all over the world. I went to Alabama in the US, and the only pharmacist there is an Igbo man. Selma, Alabama. You've heard about Selma.
Yeah.
It's one of the homes of the civil rights movement, where they cross that Petra Bridge.
Exactly.
Igbo man is there. Most likely that's what you find in every community in the US. Igbos are distributed all over the world. There's this urban legend that if Igbos cannot live in a place, the place is not livable. There was a time, a New York Times reporter came to Gamboru Ngala after Boko Haram sacked the place. The only person they found there who was not a Boko Haram member was an Igbo pharmacist. So what are you doing here? I said, well, somebody has to treat them. He was that courageous enough to stay there. So I'm saying all these things so that you can understand that I understand probably more consciously better than most people do. And that informs the reason I can speak categorically about the victimization of Igbo. Otherwise, it is a taboo. Politically, it is incorrect to say that Igbos are victimized by an average Nigerian.
Okay.
All right. So let's move
Because
straight.
nobody wants to hear the truth. And when you say, if somebody's watching me and I get out, they say, Sure, what's your problem now? Leave these Igbo people alone. You understand? That is the truth. But I cannot, my conscience cannot allow me to accommodate the genocide of 3 million people, 4 million people, and then the continuation of that denunciation of the existence through persecution in which the Nigerian state is carrying out, either through Landmark or Nnamdi Kanu or, look, I told a story, I think it was on the Honest Punch, that in this country, there was a time they were beheading Igbos, putting their heads in calabash and putting on the trains going east.
Do you think that's what's happening in the East right now? Speaking about militarization of the East.
Pogrom, you understand? And that's why they're doing it. It's what they're doing. When we did August, what did we ask for? Demilitarization of the East and release of Nnamdi Kanu was one of our demands. But it was the most denounced demands, even by human rights people. They told us, no, don't include Kanu in your demands. Otherwise, we will not join you. Because Nigeria has been made to believe that a crime committed against Igbo doesn't fall under human rights abuse.